Human had a muscle cramp. Didn't expect his alien therapist to have 4 arms. Liam Reeves winced as another spasm tore through his lower back, a souvenir from his latest mission aboard the ISS Dauntless. The military-grade shuttle had taken heavy fire while escorting a diplomatic convoy through the Orion Nebula's contested regions. As the ship's chief security officer, he'd spent 18 hours straight in a combat harness, muscles locked in fight-or-flight tension. Now, standing in the gleaming reception area of Starbase Elysium's medical wing, wearing nothing but a black towel wrapped around his hips, Liam felt distinctly vulnerable. His powerful frame, all 6'2" of sculpted muscle and battle scars, was impressive by human standards. But here among the various alien species, he was just another patient. Commander Reeves, the receptionist, a blue-skinned Andorian with antennae that twitched in apparent appreciation of his physique, gestured toward a hallway. "Treatment room 7 is ready for you. Dr. Kieran says your muscle damage requires specialized therapy." Liam nodded, running a hand through his light brown hair. The slick-back style was more necessity than vanity after the quick shower he'd taken. His 5 o'clock shadow itched against his fingers as he absently rubbed his jaw. "Any idea what I'm in for?" he asked, adjusting his towel. The Andorian's antennae quivered with what might have been amusement. "Something hands-on, Commander." "Great. Alien humor." Liam forced a smile and headed down the corridor, his bare feet silent against the polished floor. The station's artificial gravity felt heavy after weeks in the variable conditions of combat space. Treatment room. 7's door slid open with a pneumatic hiss. Liam stepped inside, then froze. Standing beside a padded table was the most striking alien woman he'd ever seen. Her skin was a deep, luminous violet that seemed to glow from within. Silvery hair cascaded down her back in flowing waves. She wore a form-fitting black medical suit with a plunging neckline that accentuated her humanoid but distinctly alien curves. But what truly stopped him in his tracks were her arms, all 4 of them. Each limb moved with graceful, independent purpose as she arranged instruments on a nearby tray. The motion was hypnotic, almost dance-like in its fluid coordination. "Didn't expect to see so many hands," Liam remarked, a slight smirk playing at his lips despite the pain radiating from his back. The alien woman turned, silvery eyes meeting his. Her lips, a darker shade of violet, curved into a warm smile that revealed teeth just slightly sharper than human standard. "Haven't you heard? 4 hands make a massage twice as enjoyable." Her voice carried a melodic quality. The universal translator barely needed to convey her perfect standard English. "I'm Dr. Nilara Terrace, Physical Rehabilitation Specialist." "Liam Reeves, human punching bag, apparently." He extended his hand, then hesitated, unsure which of her 4 arms was the appropriate one to shake. Nilara laughed, a sound like wind chimes, and extended her upper right hand. "This is the traditional greeting hand for Lyrellians. The others have different purposes." Her touch was warmer than he expected, her skin velvety smooth against his calloused palm. "Your file says you've sustained significant muscle trauma from extended combat harness use," she said, gesturing toward the table. "Please, lie face down. I need to assess the damage." Liam hesitated only briefly before complying, making sure his towel remained secure as he positioned himself on the table. The padding molded to his body, surprisingly comfortable. "I've treated humans before," Nilara said, her 4 hands hovering above his back. "But I find your species fascinating, so physically resilient, yet so structurally vulnerable." "That's us," Liam replied, his voice muffled against the headrest. "Contradictions wrapped in skin. And such interesting skin." One hand touched his shoulder blade, sending an unexpected shiver down his spine. "I can see the tension patterns. Your muscles are practically calcified from stress." Her touch was professional, but somehow intimate, clinical yet personal in a way Liam couldn't quite define. When all 4 hands began working simultaneously on different muscle groups, he couldn't suppress a groan of relief. "Too much pressure?" she asked, immediately adjusting. "No," Liam managed. "Just, you're right." As her skilled fingers worked their magic, Liam found himself relaxing for the first time in months. There was something about Nilara that put him at ease. Her confidence, perhaps, or the way she seemed genuinely interested in him as more than just another patient. "You humans are remarkably straightforward," she commented as she worked a particularly stubborn knot in his lower back. "Most species I treat spend the first 20 minutes trying to determine my social status or political affiliations before they'll even speak directly to me." Liam chuckled. "And we're a blunt bunch. Gets us in trouble sometimes." "I find it refreshing," Nilara admitted. "On Lyrelia, conversations can last days without anyone saying what they actually mean. Sounds exhausting." "It is, that's partly why I left." Her hands never stopped their methodical work, but her voice softened. "That, and I wanted to see the stars." "Know that feeling," Liam murmured, surprised by how comfortable he felt sharing with this alien woman. "Joined Earth Fleet for the same reason, though I've seen more combat than stars lately." Nilara's hands paused momentarily. "The Orion conflict is escalating then. Let's just say I didn't get these muscle spasms from sightseeing." She resumed her massage, her touch somehow conveying understanding without words. "Well, Commander Reeves, I can't send you back to the front lines in this condition. You'll need at least 3 more sessions." Liam turned his head to look at her, catching the slight curve of her lips. "Doctor's orders?" "Absolutely." Her silver eyes sparkled with something that might have been flirtation. "I take my work very seriously." For the first time since his shuttle had docked at Elysium, Liam felt a genuine smile spread across his face. "Well, I'd hate to disobey a medical professional." As the session continued, their conversation flowed easily from professional to personal and back again. By the time Nilara's 4 hands delivered their final therapeutic strokes, Liam realized he was looking forward to their next appointment for reasons that had little to do with physical therapy. "Same time tomorrow?" she asked as he carefully sat up, testing his loosened muscles. "Wouldn't miss it," Liam replied, finding he meant it completely. Liam arrived for his second appointment with Dr. Nilara Taurus, feeling considerably better than the day before. The muscle relaxants she'd prescribed had taken the edge off his pain, though occasional spasms still rippled through his lower back when he moved too quickly. This time, he'd managed proper clothes, standard-issue Earthfleet exercise pants and a fitted gray t-shirt that hugged his broad shoulders. The casual attire felt like a step up from yesterday's towel, though part of him wondered if Nilara might be disappointed by the more modest presentation. The treatment room door slid open to reveal Nilara adjusting equipment with her multiple arms, each moving with independent purpose. Today she wore a different medical uniform, still black, but with iridescent violet piping that matched her skin tone perfectly. "Commander Reeves," she greeted him, all 4 hands pausing momentarily as she turned. "You're looking more mobile today." "Your magic hands deserve the credit," Liam replied, noticing how her silver eyes brightened at the compliment. "Though I woke up with a strange tingling sensation in my shoulder." Nilara's expression shifted subtly. "Tingling? That wasn't an expected outcome of our treatment?" She gestured toward the table. "Let me examine you." As Liam settled onto the table, Nilara's professional demeanor intensified. 3 hands began systematic palpation of his shoulder and back, while her 4th retrieved a handheld scanner. "When exactly did the tingling begin?" she asked, her melodic voice now crisp with focus. "Around 0300 hours. Woke me from a dead sleep." Liam winced as her fingers found a tender spot near his shoulder blade. "Right there." The scanner in her hand emitted a soft blue light. There's something unusual in the tissue." Her brow furrowed, creating a delicate pattern of lines on her violet forehead. "Commander, were you injured during your last mission? Perhaps something penetrated your combat suit?" Liam thought back to the firefight in the Orion Nebula. "There was a moment when my harness registered a breach, but the onboard medic cleared me. Said it was just a sensor malfunction." "Your medic was wrong." Nilara's voice carried an edge now. She set the scanner down and used one hand to guide his fingers to the spot. "Feel that?" There's something foreign embedded just beneath the dermal layer. Liam's fingers found a hard, rice-sized object under his skin. "What the hell is that?" "I'm not certain, but..." Nilara was interrupted by a sudden, blaring alarm that echoed throughout the medical wing. Red emergency lights began pulsing along the ceiling. "Attention all personnel," announced a computerized voice. "Security breach in docking bay 12. Unauthorized boarding in progress. All civilians proceed to designated shelter areas. Security teams to alert stations. Liam was on his feet instantly, military training overriding his discomfort. That's not a drill. No, Nylara agreed, her 4 hands quickly gathering essential supplies. Docking Bay 12 connects directly to the medical wing's east corridor. You think that's a coincidence? Liam nodded toward his shoulder. Nylara's silver eyes widened. You believe you were tagged? For tracking? Wouldn't be the first time the Orion Syndicate used that tactic. Liam grabbed his shirt, pulling it back on with a grimace. We need to remove whatever that is and get to safety. The treatment room door slid open again, but instead of medical staff, 3 armed figures in unmarked combat gear stood in the doorway. Their faces were obscured by tactical masks, but their weapons, neural disruptors, were unmistakable. Target acquired, announced the lead intruder, raising his weapon toward Liam. Liam reacted instinctively, grabbing the nearest object, a heavy medical tray, and hurling it at the attackers. The lead intruder ducked, but his companions weren't as quick. The tray caught one across the chest, sending him stumbling backward. In the momentary confusion, Nylara moved with unexpected speed. 2 of her hands grabbed surgical instruments from a nearby cabinet, while her other 2 seized Liam by the arm, pulling him toward a service door at the rear of the room. This way, she hissed, her strength surprising him as she practically dragged him through the door, just as neural disruptor fire crackled where they'd been standing. The service corridor was narrow and dimly lit. Nylara moved with confidence, leading Liam through what appeared to be a maintenance route. You seem to know your way around the back channels, Liam observed as they hurried along. When you have 4 arms, you're often asked to help with station repairs, she replied without slowing. Comes in handy now, doesn't it? Despite the danger, Liam found himself admiring how she remained composed. Where are we heading? My private lab. It's secure, and I have equipment there to remove whatever they put in you. She glanced back at him, concern evident in her silver eyes. How's the pain? Manageable, Liam lied, ignoring the fire spreading from his shoulder down his arm. The tingling had intensified, becoming a burning sensation that suggested whatever was embedded in him might be more than just a tracking device. They reached a junction in the service corridor, and Nylara paused, listening. The distant sound of boots on metal flooring echoed from one direction. They're in the maintenance system, Liam whispered. Nylara nodded, her expression grim. My lab is 2 levels down. We need to reach the service lift without being spotted. As they moved forward more cautiously, Liam felt Nylara's hand, her lower left, slip into his. The gesture seemed instinctive, protective rather than romantic. Yet the contact sent an unexpected warmth through him that momentarily overshadowed his pain. Stay close, she murmured, her voice barely audible, and trust me. In that moment, surrounded by danger and pursued by unknown enemies, Liam realized he already did. Nylara's private lab was nothing like the sterile medical facilities Liam had expected. The space felt almost residential. Ambient lighting cast a warm glow over comfortable furnishings, interspersed between sophisticated medical equipment. Bookshelves lined one wall, filled with actual physical text rather than digital alternatives, while exotic plants from various worlds added vibrant splashes of color. Security lockdown engaged, Nylara announced as the door sealed behind them with a reassuring hiss. This room isn't on the station's main schematics. We should be safe for now. Liam leaned against a counter, the burning sensation in his shoulder now radiating down his arm and across his chest. Nice setup. Not exactly standard issue for station medical staff. I value my privacy, she replied, her 4 hands already gathering equipment with practiced efficiency. And I conduct independent research. The station administrators allow certain accommodations for specialists. She guided him to a padded examination table positioned beneath a complex array of scanning equipment. You need to remove your shirt. I need clear access to extract whatever they've put inside you. Liam complied, wincing as the movement pulled at an inflamed tissue. The area around the foreign object had swollen, the skin taking on an angry reddish hue that stood out starkly against his tan complexion. Nylara's silver eyes widened. It's accelerating its activity. We need to move quickly. Her voice remained calm, but Liam detected the underlying urgency. "What exactly is it doing?" he asked, watching as she calibrated her instruments. "Based on my scans, it appears to be a bio-tracker with sampling capabilities." She positioned a magnification field over his shoulder, the holographic display showing the rice-sized object in alarming detail. "See these filaments? They're extending into surrounding tissue, collecting cellular material. They're harvesting my DNA?" Liam felt a chill that had nothing to do with his partial undress. "Oh, more than that." Nilara's 4 hands moved in perfect coordination, one steadying the magnification field, another preparing a localized anesthetic, while the remaining 2 arranged extraction tools. "They're analyzing your physiological responses to stress, pain, and possibly even the medications I prescribed yesterday." "Weapons research," Liam concluded grimly. "Species-specific bioweapons would give the Orion Syndicate a significant advantage." Nilara nodded, her expression grim. "This will be uncomfortable, even with the anesthetic. The device has integrated more extensively than I anticipated." As she leaned over him to administer the anesthetic, Liam became acutely aware of her proximity. The subtle, exotic scent of her, something like cinnamon and ozone, filled his senses. Despite the danger, his body responded to her closeness in ways that surprised him. "Your heart rate is elevating," Nilara observed, a hint of amusement in her voice as she glanced at the biomonitor. Is it fear or something else, Commander?" "Professional curiosity," he offered with a strained smile. Her lips curved upward. "Interesting. Humans experience attraction even in life-threatening situations. Lyrellians typically compartmentalize such responses." "We're not great at compartmentalizing," Liam admitted, as the anesthetic began numbing his shoulder. "It's part of our charm." "Indeed." Her lower right hand briefly rested on his chest, just over his heart. The touch was ostensibly clinical, but lingered a moment longer than necessary. "Your species fascinates me, so physically vulnerable, yet emotionally resilient." The procedure began in earnest then, Nilara's 4 hands working with incredible precision. One steadied his shoulder, another operated the extraction tools, while the remaining 2 managed monitoring equipment and supplied additional instruments as needed. Liam watched her face as she worked, the intense concentration in her silver eyes, the slight furrow between her brows, the way her lips pressed together in focus. There was something mesmerizing about her complete command of the situation. "You've done this before," he observed. "Remove tracking devices, I mean." A flicker of something, memory perhaps, crossed her features. "Let's just say my skills have been required in various contexts." The extraction process was indeed uncomfortable, despite the anesthetic. As Nilara carefully separated the device's filaments from his tissue, Liam focused on her to distract himself from the sensation. "In Lyrellian culture," she said, perhaps sensing his need for distraction, "physical proximity carries significant meaning. We rarely touch casually." "Yet you chose a profession that's all about touch," Liam noted, sucking in a breath as she worked a particularly sensitive area. "Perhaps I'm a cultural rebel." Her eyes met his briefly, a spark of something playful there despite the intensity of her focus. "Or perhaps I recognize that some boundaries exist to be crossed." The device finally came free with a wet sound that made Liam wince. Nilara immediately deposited it in a containment field where it pulsed with an eerie blue light. "There," she said, satisfaction evident in her voice. "Now to repair the damage." Her 4 hands once again demonstrated their remarkable utility, one applying a regenerative compound to the wound, another sealing it with a medical laser, while the remaining 2 cleaned the surrounding area and monitored his vital signs. "The advantages of multiple limbs are becoming increasingly apparent," Liam commented, watching her work. "You have no idea," Nilara replied, her tone carrying a suggestive undercurrent that sent a pleasant warmth through him despite his condition. As she finished dressing the wound, her hands lingered on his skin. The professional touch gradually shifted, becoming something more exploratory, more personal. Her fingers traced the contours of his shoulder, then moved to the defined muscles of his chest. "Your physiology is remarkably similar to Lyrellian males," she observed, her voice softer now, "yet distinctly different in fascinating ways." Liam caught one of her hands, her upper left, and held it against his chest. "Is this research or Recreation, Doctor? Her silver eyes met his, pupils dilating slightly. Perhaps both. Would that be objectionable? Before he could answer, the lab's security system chimed. Proximity alert. Armed personnel detected in adjacent corridor. The moment shattered, reality intruding once more. Nylara stepped back, her professional demeanor returning, though something in her eyes suggested their conversation was merely postponed, not concluded. We need to move, she said, already gathering essential equipment. And we need to destroy that tracker before they can recover it. Liam nodded, pulling his shirt back on with considerably less pain than before. Any suggestions on where to go next? Nylara's four hands worked in unison, packing supplies into a medical bag while simultaneously activating what appeared to be a hidden panel in the wall. I always have a backup plan, she said with a confidence that Liam found inexplicably attractive. And I believe it's time you learned why Lorelians are considered the galaxy's premier escape artists. The hidden panel in Nylara's lab wall slid open to reveal a narrow passage bathed in low blue emergency lighting. She destroyed the bio-tracker with a targeted energy pulse before guiding Liam into the secret corridor. Maintenance tunnels, she explained as the panel sealed behind them. Part of the station's original design, removed from official schematics after the third expansion. Only a few of us know they exist. And how exactly did a physical therapist gain access to classified station architecture? Liam asked, his military instincts on high alert despite his growing attraction to her. Nylara's silver eyes gleamed in the dim light. I wasn't always a therapist, Commander. With practiced efficiency, she removed a section of wall paneling to reveal a weapons cache. And I believe our situation calls for more direct intervention. She withdrew 2 neural disruptors, checking their charge before offering one to Liam. Her movements were fluid, practiced, the motions of someone with combat training. Lyrelian Special Intelligence, she said, answering his unspoken question. Or I was, until I discovered certain factions within our government were developing bioweapons for deployment against potential rivals, including humans. Liam accepted the weapon, his fingers brushing against hers. So you defected? I prefers strategically relocated, she replied with a wry smile. My superiors called it treason. I called it conscience. They moved through the narrow passage, Nylara leading with the confidence of someone who had mapped every inch of their route. The tunnels formed a complex network, bypassing the station's main corridors while providing access to critical systems. These attacks aren't random, Nylara continued, her forearms allowing her to simultaneously navigate, hold her weapon, check a handheld scanner, and maintain contact with Liam. They're targeting key command nodes, communications, life support, security. A takeover, not a raid, Liam concluded. But why come after me specifically? Your last mission, she said, pausing at a junction to check her scanner. The diplomatic convoy you escorted. It wasn't just carrying ambassadors, was it? Liam hesitated. The mission details were classified, but given their situation, we were transporting intelligence on suspected Orion Syndicate infiltrators within the Alliance leadership. Exactly, Nylara nodded. And now they need to know what you know, and who you've told. She gestured down a side passage. This way, we can access the central security hub through the environmental control room. As they navigated the labyrinthine tunnels, Liam found himself increasingly aware of Nylara's proximity in the confined space. The subtle brush of her body against his when they squeezed through narrower sections sent unexpected waves of heat through him, despite the danger of their situation. Your heart rate is elevated again, Commander, she observed with a hint of playfulness. Still not fear, I presume? Professional interest in alien physiology, he countered, matching her tone. For instance, I'm curious how Lorelians manage 4 arms without constantly tangling themselves up. Her laugh was soft but genuine. Neural pathways. Each arm has dedicated brain function. It allows for... She paused, her silver eyes meeting his with unmistakable suggestion. Remarkable multitasking capabilities. Before Liam could respond, they reached a junction where the tunnel opened into a small maintenance hub. Nylara raised a hand for silence, then pointed to a monitoring screen showing the environmental control room. 4 armed intruders were visible, placing what appeared to be explosive devices on key systems. They're planning to disable life support. Our Okona, she whispered. Standard Orion tactic. Create a crisis, and then offer salvation on their terms. Liam assessed the situation with a tactical eye. 4 hostiles, unknown armament, confined space, not great odds. I counted as even, Nilara replied, a dangerous glint in her eyes. 2 of us, 4 of them. My 4 arms against their 4 weapons. Has anyone ever told you that you're remarkably confident for a doctor? Has anyone ever told you that you're remarkably calm for someone being hunted across a space station? Their eyes locked, and for a moment, the danger around them seemed to recede. In its place surged something primal, a connection that transcended their different species and backgrounds. Nilara broke the moment first, but not before one of her hands, her lower right, briefly caressed his jawline. After we secure this station, Commander, we should discuss human-Lyrellian relations in more detail. The promise in her touch sent a jolt through Liam that had nothing to do with combat adrenaline. I like that. They quickly formulated a plan. The maintenance hub connected to the environmental control room through 2 access points, allowing them to enter from opposite sides. Nilara would create a diversion while Liam neutralized the explosives. Ready? She asked, her 4 hands now each holding a different tool or weapon. Born ready, Liam replied, then added with a grin, though I admit I could use an extra pair of hands right about now. Perhaps later, she promised, with a suggestive arch of her brow. You'll discover just how useful they can be. With synchronized precision, they executed their plan. Nilara dropped into the control room through a ceiling panel, immediately drawing fire as she moved with astonishing agility. Her 4 arms became a blur of motion, deflecting attacks, returning fire, and manipulating environmental controls to create confusion among the intruders. Liam entered from the opposite side, taking advantage of the chaos to neutralize 2 attackers with well-placed neural disruptor shots. The remaining intruders focused on Nilara, not noticing as he made his way to the explosives. What happened next occurred so quickly that Liam would later struggle to sequence the events. One intruder managed to flank Nilara, raising his weapon to her unprotected back. Without hesitation, Liam threw himself forward, tackling the attacker just as the weapon discharged. The energy pulse grazed his side, sending white-hot pain through his torso. Nilara eliminated the final intruder with ruthless efficiency, then was instantly at Liam's side, her 4 hands already assessing his injury. Superficial, she announced, relief evident in her voice, though I imagine your muscle cramps now seem trivial by comparison. Despite the pain, Liam laughed. I don't know. Those cramps led me to a 4-armed therapist who turned out to be a spy with combat skills. Hard to complain about the outcome. Her expression softened, and 3 of her hands continued their medical assessment while the 4th gently brushed back a lock of his hair that had fallen across his forehead. You risked your life for me, she said quietly. Professional courtesy, he replied. And though they both recognized the inadequacy of the explanation, the moment stretched between them, charged with unspoken possibilities. Then the station's emergency systems blared again, breaking the spell. Breach in Central Command, security protocols compromised. Nilara helped Liam to his feet, her touch lingering longer than necessary. This isn't over. Not by a long shot, he agreed, meeting her gaze with equal intensity. And when it is… Yes, she said simply, understanding his unfinished thought. When it is. The maintenance tunnels widened as Liam and Nilara approached what her schematics identified as Recreation Sector 7, a section containing lounges, dining facilities, and relaxation areas for station personnel. According to Nilara's handheld scanner, a significant number of life signs had congregated there. Survivors, she explained, her 4 hands simultaneously checking her weapon, treating Liam's side wound with a portable regenerator, monitoring the scanner, and navigating their path. The recreation sector has independent life support and security protocols. It's designed to function as a safe haven during emergencies. Liam winced as the regenerator sent pulses of healing energy into his injured flesh. Convenient timing. We need to regroup before attempting to retake command. They emerged from a service hatch into what appeared to be a storage area adjacent to the main recreation lounge. The sounds of anxious voices filtered through the wall, a mixture of human and alien languages, creating a discordant symphony of concern. Nilara paused, her silver eyes meeting Liam's. Before we join them, You should know something. Lorelians are highly regarded for our diplomatic and medical skills, but our military background is kept deliberately obscure. My combat abilities will raise questions. You want me to keep your spy pass quiet? Liam nodded. Understood. It's not just that. One of her hands, her upper left, brushed his arm in a gesture that felt distinctly intimate. My people have strict protocols about interspecies relationships. What's developing between us would be frowned upon on my homeworld. Liam raised an eyebrow. Are you concerned about what they'll think, or are you having second thoughts? Her response was immediate and unmistakable. Two of her hands cupped his face while a third rested on his chest, the fourth remaining vigilantly on her weapon. No second thoughts, she murmured, her violet lips mere inches from his. Just awareness of complications. The moment hung between them, electric with possibility, before Nylara reluctantly stepped back. We should join the others, but this conversation isn't over. The promise in her voice sent a pleasant shiver down Liam's spine as they entered the main lounge. The large space had been transformed into an impromptu command center. Approximately 30 survivors, a mix of station personnel, medical staff, and civilians, had organized themselves into functional groups. Some tended to the injured, others monitored communications equipment, while security officers maintained watch at the entrances. Their arrival caused an immediate stir. A tall Andorian security chief approached, antenna twitching with suspicion. Commander Reeves, he acknowledged with a curt nod. We received reports you were targeted specifically. Care to explain why you've brought this crisis to our station? Before Liam could respond, a familiar voice cut through the tension. That's quite enough, Chief Thorin. Dr. Kieran, the blue-skinned Andorian who had first directed Liam to Nylara's treatment room, stepped forward. Commander Reeves is an honored guest of the Federation, not an instigator. The gathering crowd included several of Nylara's patients, who regarded the pair with varying expressions of curiosity, concern, and, from a few species with more acute sensory perception, knowing interest in their obvious physical proximity. A Tellarite diplomat snorted loudly. The human and the forearms arrived together? How convenient. Perhaps they planned this disruption. Preposterous, countered a willowy Adoshan with 3 arms of his own. Dr. Terrace has treated my chronic spinal condition for 2 cycles. Her hands work miracles, all 4 of them. The Adoshan's emphasis and suggestive tone caused several nearby humans to suppress smiles, while a group of Vulcans raised eyebrows in perfect unison. Liam cleared his throat. The Orion Syndicate is behind this attack. They're after intelligence I transported during my last mission. Dr. Terrace discovered and removed a tracking device they planted in me, likely during the firefight in the Orion Nebula. This revelation sparked immediate discussion among the gathered survivors. Nylara used the distraction to pull Liam aside, ostensibly to check his wound. Your reputation precedes you, Commander, she murmured, her 4 hands making a show of medical assessment, while actually caressing him in ways that were decidedly non-clinical. These people respect human resilience, and they clearly admire your hands-on approach, he replied with a roguish grin, enjoying the subtle dance of their flirtation despite the crisis. Their exchange didn't go unnoticed. A young human ensign approached, his expression a mixture of awe and embarrassment. Commander, sir, he began, eyes darting between Liam and Nylara. The security team is formulating a plan to retake command. We could use your tactical expertise. Of course, Liam nodded, professional demeanor returning instantly. As they joined the planning group, cultural differences immediately became apparent. The Andorian security chief favored a direct assault, while the Vulcan science officer advocated a more calculated approach. Various species offered input based on their own combat philosophies, creating a cacophony of conflicting strategies. Liam observed silently for a moment before stepping forward. With calm authority, he outlined a plan that incorporated elements from multiple suggestions, while adding his own tactical insights. His natural leadership and inclusive approach quickly won over the diverse group. Throughout the discussion, Nylara remained at his side, her forearms allowing her to simultaneously mark points on the station schematic, take notes, adjust medical equipment, and, when no one else was looking, brush against Liam in ways that maintained their growing connection. When the planning session concluded, Dr. Kieran approached them with a knowing look. "Commander, you and Dr. Terrace should rest before the operation. There's a private medical observation room through that door. It has supplies and a secure lock." The Andorian's antennae twitched suggestively. "Lorelian human physiology is remarkably compatible, you know. My species has studied such matters extensively." Nalara's violet skin darkened slightly in what Liam recognized as a blush. "Thank you, Dr. Kieran. We'll prepare ourselves accordingly." As they entered the private room, Liam raised an eyebrow. "Remarkably compatible?" "Andorians are notorious gossips," Nalara replied, engaging the door lock with one hand while the other three began removing her medical equipment. "But they're rarely wrong about physiological matters." The small room contained a single medical bed, monitoring equipment, and basic supplies. The lighting automatically dimmed to a soft glow that accentuated the luminous quality of Nalara's violet skin. "We have 2 hours before the operation begins," Liam said, suddenly aware of the intimate space and their relative privacy. "Indeed!" Nalara stepped closer, all 4 of her hands now free to explore. "Just enough time for me to demonstrate the true therapeutic potential of Lorelian massage techniques." Her silver eyes held his, a question, an invitation in their depths. "That is, if you're not too concerned about muscle cramps." Liam closed the distance between them, his hands finding her waist. "Funny thing about that first cramp, best pain I ever had considering where it led me." "And where exactly has it led you, Commander?" she asked, her voice a sultry whisper. His answer required no words as their lips finally met. The culmination of tension that had been building since that first smirking comment about her many hands. The kiss deepened, transcending species differences as they discovered perfect compatibility in the most fundamental of ways. Later, as they lay entwined on the narrow medical bed, Nalara traced patterns on his chest with 2 hands, while the others gently massaged away the tension in his shoulders. "I never expected this outcome when I reviewed your medical file," she confessed, her silver eyes soft with newfound intimacy. "And I never expected 4 hands could feel so right," Liam replied, pulling her closer. "Though I'm beginning to think that muscle cramp was the luckiest pain I've ever experienced." The operation to retake the command center began with precision that would have impressed even the most disciplined military units. Liam led the tactical team through the maintenance tunnels, while Nalara coordinated the medical and support personnel. Their newfound intimacy translated into an almost telepathic coordination. His glances met with her nods, his tactical adjustments anticipated by her four-handed preparations. "Approaching command center access point," Liam whispered into his comm unit. "Security team in position. Medical team standing by," Nylara's melodic voice replied. Environmental controls rerouted as planned. The diverse team they'd assembled moved with unified purpose. Andorians, Vulcans, humans, and a dozen other species, all following the plan Liam had outlined. As they prepared to breach the command center, Nalara appeared at his side, having navigated a parallel tunnel. "A surprise addition to the assault team, Doctor?" Liam asked, unable to suppress a smile despite the tension. "4 hands are better than 2 in a crisis," she replied, her silver eyes gleaming with both determination and affection. Besides, I've grown rather attached to keeping you alive." The Andorian security chief's antennae twitched with what might have been amusement. "If you two are quite finished, we have a station to reclaim." The assault unfolded exactly as Liam had planned. Environmental controls flooded the command center with a harmless but disorienting gas, giving the security team precious seconds of advantage. Liam led the breach with Nalara moving in perfect synchronization at his side. What followed was a demonstration of their complementary strengths, his direct human approach creating openings that her 4-armed Lorelian precision exploited with devastating efficiency. Where he provided power and tactical awareness, she contributed flexibility and multifaceted response. The Orion forces, though well-armed and trained, were unprepared for the seamless coordination of the station's multicultural defenders. Within minutes, the command center was secured, with minimal casualties on either side. As the security team secured the prisoners and medical personnel attended to the wounded, Liam found himself standing with Nalara at the central operations console. Their mission accomplished, but a deeper conversation clearly pending. "That was..." he began, searching for words. "Binding," she finished, her voice soft but certain. Liam raised an eyebrow. Binding? Nilara's four hands were suddenly in constant motion, a sign of nervousness he'd come to recognize. It's a Lyrellian term. When two individuals move in such perfect harmony, anticipating each other's needs and actions without communication, we call it binding. It's, significant in my culture. Significant how? He asked, sensing the weight behind her words. She guided him to a quieter corner of the command center, away from the bustling activity of the recovery operation. Two of her hands clasped his, while the others gestured expressively as she explained. Lyrellians believe that true compatibility manifests physically, in how we move together, how we anticipate each other. What happened between us in that medical room, and again during combat, it's considered evidence of souls recognizing each other. Liam absorbed this, understanding dawning. So on your world, what we just experienced would be considered the equivalent of a spontaneous marriage ceremony, she admitted, her violet skin darkening with what he now recognized as a blush. Though traditionally, there would be a formal acknowledgement ritual involving family witnesses and ceremonial binding cloths. Despite the seriousness of her revelation, Liam couldn't help but smile. So I accidentally married my therapist while retaking a space station from hostile forces. Not exactly how I imagined settling down. Her silver eyes widened with concern. I'm not suggesting you're bound by Lyrellian customs. I simply wanted you to understand why this feels so significant to me. Liam reached up, gently touching her face. What if I want to be bound by your customs? What if I've never felt this kind of connection before, with anyone of any species? The hope that bloomed in her expression was answer enough, but her words confirmed it. Then we would have something rare and precious, a binding that transcends biological differences and cultural boundaries. I came to this station with muscle cramps, Liam mused, his thumb tracing the curve of her cheek. I never expected to leave with a four-armed wife. Mate, she corrected with a playful smile. Wife is a human term. Lyrellians prefer bound mate or simply mate. Semantics, he replied, pulling her closer. Though I have to admit, I'm curious about these ceremonial binding cloths. Her laugh was like wind chimes. They're used to physically connect the mates during the ceremony, usually binding two arms together. In our case, that would leave me with two free hands, which could be advantageous. The suggestive tone in her voice sent pleasant warmth through him. I can see how that might work in our favor. Their moment was interrupted by Dr. Kieran clearing his throat nearby. Commander Dr. Taurus, the station director wishes to speak with you both. Apparently your coordination level has attracted attention beyond our immediate crisis. In the station director's office, they received not the reprimand they half expected, but an unexpected proposal. The Alliance has been seeking ways to improve integration between species, the elderly Trill explained, his spotted complexion crinkling as he smiled. Your partnership demonstrated something we've long suspected, that our differences can become our greatest strengths when properly aligned. He slid a datapad across the desk. We're establishing an interspecies crisis response unit, the first of its kind, designed to leverage the unique abilities of diverse team members. We'd like you both to lead it. Liam and Nylara exchanged glances, their newfound connection allowing volumes of communication to pass between them without words. We accept, they said in unison. Later, as they stood on the observation deck watching repair ships attend to the station's damaged sections, Nylara's four arms encircled Liam in an embrace that felt increasingly like home. When I was assigned to treat your muscle cramps, I never imagined this outcome, she murmured against his chest. I'm beginning to think that Cramp was the universe's way of bringing us together, Liam replied, kissing the top of her silver-haired head. Though I'm still getting used to counting to 4 when I think about holding your hand. She laughed, the sound mingling with the stars beyond the viewport. 4 hands, 1 heart, she said, in what he recognized as a traditional Lyrellian phrase. 4 hands, 1 heart, he repeated, sealing their binding with a kiss that promised many more therapeutic sessions to come.